So right now we are doing an interview with Strictly Limited, and in person are Benedict and David. Benedict is one of the founders of Strictly Limited, and David is marketing. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. Hi.
Pleasure to meet you.
So let me ask you first, how did it all start with the company and what was the idea behind it?
So that was actually like 6 years ago. Dennis and I, we were standing in the kitchen, and we were working in the same company. The company was doing distribution of software and gaming keys. It was like a regular online shop, and we both figured that we're both collectors. We like retro games. We like also modern games as well. So we like collecting games. So we thought, why shouldn't we do physical editions of those games? Of course. We were inspired by some other companies who were doing this 6 years ago already, but we thought there are so many great games deserving a physical edition, so let's do that.
Basically to fill the gap.
To fill the gap, yeah. Like there was no one in Europe doing it, and there were just so many games. The PlayStation was quite indie friendly, but then it even grew bigger with the Nintendo Switch. So many great Nintendo Switch games, and they all deserve a physical edition. Like there are too many Switch games. Not all get a physical edition, but it's great to preserve the games.
And you, David, did you also start right from the beginning, or was your entry point a bit later?
No, my entry point was a bit later. I just recently started, so it's actually only 5 months now. But I'm coming from like the AAA space. I'm a collector myself. And so, preserving games and their history has always been, first of all, my hobby, and now it's my job as well. So that's amazing.
A little quick question.
Sure.
You guys told that you are collectors. I'm very curious. What are your favorite systems to collect for?
That's a very difficult question. I'm hesitating to answer it because it's PC. I have to admit, I have over 5,000 games on Steam, but I'm also collecting a lot of Game Boy games. I have a few hundred Game Boy games, maybe 100 PlayStation 2 and N64, but not as many as David. Spread across all platforms. Probably 100 Switch games as well by now. Yeah.
So yeah, the number one system I'm collecting for is Nintendo 64. I have an almost complete full set. I have an almost complete Atari Jaguar set. So I'm mainly collecting kind of everything.
64-bit guy.
Yeah. Kind of everything in between, curious stuff, everything that kind of piques my interest. But yeah, in general, I have like over 4,000 games right now.
You, Benedict, mentioned that you saw that a lot of great games were still not released as this collector edition. What are the focus? You are focusing on a gap, basically. So what's your focus?
Yeah, so the games that we selected, it was a very subjective selection of games. Like those were games, we read about those games in magazines, or we see them at events like Gamescom. So we reach out to the developers who make games that we're personally interested in. By now we made so many different kinds of games. We have platformers, run and gun, but even visual novels and puzzle-like games or adventure games in 3D. So it's a very broad selection. And but one thing which is not depending on the genre of the game is that the game needs to have a good quality. So this is important to us. If the game is not fun, we're not a huge fan of it. But any game should be fun, right?
And also, you're not only publishing games, but also actually had still have a contract with Dennis here to publish some of his albums. So perhaps you could start talking a bit about that.
Yeah, of course, I worked with these fantastic guys together already. So we mix the worlds now a little bit. I'm making music as Remute, as maybe our fans know. And so we made, together with these guys, my Super Nintendo and my Mega Drive album. They put out amazing editions of it, and happy to work with you. And,
because music needs to be preserved as well.
Yeah, definitely, and especially if it's on cartridge.
And you make great stuff, so I even got some of your bundles previously, by the way.
Nice. One thing I wanted to touch is I saw over the last 2-3 years an improvement of quality of the packaging and the labeling, because I had sometimes, like bubbles in the labels and so on. You kind of fixed that in the recent releases. Can you talk about improving the quality of the production perhaps a bit? Because not everybody knows how hard it is to apply a label to a Mega Drive cartridge, for example. Yeah.
So first, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. So basically, when we started 6 years ago, it was like 2 of us. Then at one time we had graphic artists, and then we had another student who helped us with different kind of things. By now we are a team. So here at Gamescom we are 5 people. We have someone at home, like our graphic designer. So there now is a bigger team to ensure that there's a high quality. And also those cartridges that you mentioned, they are all produced by Dragonbox in Germany, by the way. So they make sure that it's a very high quality standard.
Oh, nice. That's good to know. Though you're actually working with experts now that make sure that those little things like air bubbles don't happen anymore. Okay.
Exactly, because if you try to apply those stickers yourself, and if you're not used to do it, it can be tricky.
Yeah. Oh, nice. So, what's some of your future plans you could talk about, perhaps?
So, I mean, we have lots of different titles coming, as always. So some of the future plans in general that we have for games is, they kind of need to have a history. Some of our games, we had like the Guinness World Record for Clockwork Aquario, which was 35 years in development. So we're kind of looking for more games like that. But also something that we can tease is that we're currently planning for a speed run. We're calling it speed run, so releasing games quicker, because that's the #1 demand that we heard from our fans so far. That production takes time, of course, and we hear the upcry of getting things faster, and that's something we're currently working on. We heard the fans, we heard the voices, and so we can tease already that we are aware we're working on something. We will be calling it speedrun, so we're faster now, and so that's something we can tease here today.
Awesome. One question, you also released an anthology of Turrican, and Factor 5 is also here at Gamescom. Can you talk us a bit how that cooperation happened, if you know something about it?
Yeah, sure, but like this was a very, very long process. So we've been talking with Factor 5 for a long time. I don't know how long exactly, but it certainly was more than a year. I think more than 2 or 3 years. Because of course we needed to convince them that we're treating the big Turrican IP in the right way, because Turrican deserves the best treatment, and we're happy that we managed to do Turrican, and we're also happy that Factor 5 is over there, and we saw them a few times already. So that was a great collaboration.
Perfect. Are you also customers yourself on the other competition and buy their games?
What competition?
I mean, you mentioned it at the beginning.
I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe. Yeah, we're game collectors. Of course we are. It's like a small niche. So we try to be friendly with everyone. We're also in contact with some other companies. So we're all trying to do a good thing.
Another question. Do you also plan to develop your own retro-inspired games someday, probably?
Right now we're not really, we are developing the emulation of those games. Turrican, we developed the emulation, or the Cotton games, Ultra Core. We did that. We are currently not really planning to do an entirely new game in-house, but there are popular plans, like for a very popular IP. I can't announce that yet. It's very early,
okay,
but there are nice plans. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that would be all from me personally. Yes, I thank you very much for your openness and wish you a lot of more customers and nice time at Gamescom still. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the interview.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, guys.